everybody, I'm Jamie from Little Monsters Art. I am an art teacher and I host creative parties and fundraisers for children and adults. I am here with my entire family today. I've got my son, my daughter, my dogs. I'm sure my husband will be popping in, but we are here to paint with you today a step-by-step dinosaur. Okay, I thought there's a very special holiday coming up. Mother's Day. So this kind of has a little bit to do with Mother's Day. If you don't have a mother, or you don't want to give it to a mother, or you don't want to say that this is a Mother's Day gift, you just want to, paint it for yourself, no problem at all. You just, you can paint it for anybody. Paint it for yourself, for your mom, for your aunt, for your grandma, for a friend. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a little dino, a baby dino, and his mommy. Okay, so some of the things that you might need are definitely a pencil. You're going to need some paint or crayons or markers, oil, pastels, paper, whatever you want to use. If you purchased a kit from me, you're going to notice that you got all the colors in a nice palette. Mine is very messy because I use it all the time. You're also going to get a new paintbrush with the kit. In addition, if you're using the paint, you're going to need something to wash your brush. And you could get a couple different sizes of paintbrushes if you want, okay? That's completely up to you. And you're gonna have a 16 by 20 canvas if I didn't already say that, okay? So go and gather your materials and then we'll get started with the drawing part, okay? All right, see you in a minute. All right, we are ready for the drawing portion of our project. And what I'm gonna show you is if you are working with a pencil that has a nice eraser on it, a lot of times I'll tell my students that if they're sketching something out, you can also use your eraser to kind of sketch something out so you don't have all these pencil lines. If you don't, if you're drawing and you erase something, you sometimes get pencil lines. So I always tell you either sketch very lightly or you can try to use your eraser if it's a good one. Test it out on something though first, because sometimes the erasers are like those pink erasers and then they put a really bad smudge on your paper. If that happens, don't worry about it, but test it out on like another little piece of paper first. Mine is really good, so I can, on my canvas, you can't see it, but I did sketch out a little bit of the dinosaur's body. Okay, so you can try that out. If you don't want to, that's okay. Even a little piece of chalk is helpful if you wanted to sketch out with some chalk instead of using your pencil, because a lot of times when you make mistakes, you'll erase and then you'll erase and then you'll erase, and then before you know it, you've got a big blurry mark on your paper. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna get started with the dino's body, and this was chosen by Bryn. She loved this picture, and her friend Scarlett actually wanted to do a dinosaur, so this is for Scarlett and Bryn and everybody else now, but this is what we chose this week. So we are going to get started with the body, okay? And I am holding my canvas vertical, tall like a building. And right around the center of the canvas is where you're going to put a big oval, but you want to leave a little space on each side, because on this side, he's going to have a tail, okay? So I put my oval down in the bottom portion of the canvas. If you split it in half, it'll be down on the bottom portion. And then you want to make sure you're going to have room for his tail and his little head that's going to go up towards the top. Okay, so I am very, very lightly going to show you. Here is my body of my dino. Okay, we're just starting with a simple oval shape towards the bottom portion. I'm going to leave a little bit of space here. I actually, why don't we put the tail on now so we can make sure we have a little bit of room. The tail is just going to kind of look like a sideways V. Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but I'm just going to, right around the center, I'm going to take a line and come down. So I'm going to make it come down towards the end of the paper, or the edge of the paper, and then go back up again. So if you look at it from the side, it does look like a V.
Mommy, what do beaches have in it?
The ocean, surfers, sorry. So when you're doing your tail, I know a lot of you are like dino experts. If you want to do yours a little bit different, go ahead and do it, okay? I'm actually going to do my little legs too. I'm going to draw 4. They're going to look like rectangles, okay? So I'm going to start with this one over here, and I'm going to make it go down, about 2 inches. Not like super long where he's going to look like a giraffe, but you're going to make a rectangle, okay? And you can make it go all the way up to his body. So I have a rectangle, and then I'm going to put a rectangle pretty close to it, but not touching. Okay, and it's kind of like the same width. So now I've got a rectangle here and a rectangle here. And if at any time you want to pause, feel free to pause, okay? Now I'm gonna do I have 2 legs on the left side. So I'm gonna make another rectangle. And you wanna make it kind of even with the other legs so they all look like they're the same length.
What else do beaches have in it?
What else do beaches have? Okay, and then I'm gonna make one right here. Okay?
I don't know, Mom.
Maybe a boogie border, maybe crabs, shells. Okay, so now we have 4 legs and our tail, okay? Now we're gonna move up to his long neck and his head. His head is gonna kind of look like a circle, okay? And the neck is gonna come up pretty high, but you wanna leave enough room for this little baby. So you might wanna mark off where the little baby's gonna go. So he's pretty big. He's probably about, you know, if you look at the size of his body, he's probably a little bit smaller than the size of that body. So I just made a little mark here, but that's probably a little bit too big. I'm gonna go down a little bit further, just so I know that my mouth should end up somewhere around there, because the little baby dino is gonna go right here in the middle, okay? So coming off the side, I'm just going to take my pencil, and it's gonna be like almost like a very, very faint C. It's not gonna be like a, you know, like the C that you would draw if you were writing a letter or writing, you know, but you're gonna go up. Just kind of a line that bends just a little bit, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing, but you're gonna make it a little bit wider here and then get a little bit closer. Okay, so I have 2 lines and they're both kind of following each other, okay? Kind of going in like a C, but not like a complete and total, like the C that you would draw with if you were drawing an alphabet, okay? Now his head, mine is gonna be, I'm gonna start with just like a circle, but I don't want the circle to start, you know, I want it to start below this top line. So I'm gonna start mine down here. It's kind of not like a circle, it's more of an oval. I'm sorry, it's not a circle, it's more of an oval. But I just made sure that I went below this top line. So I'm just gonna come down. Okay, now if you don't like the way something looks, feel free to pause the video. You can change it, keep my picture up here so that you can take a look at it. Okay, you could change it at any moment, okay? Now I'm gonna do my little dino, and his head is gonna be almost like right next to the mommy dino, okay? So I'm gonna use an oval for his head. Okay, that's probably a really too big of an oval. Like you don't want to get much bigger than that. Okay, and now I'm going to draw his little neck. So I'm going to make a line that comes down and another line that comes down. Okay, and then his body. And I'm going to use an oval for his body. Okay, so all we're doing is taking simple shapes, and that's how we're creating our dinosaur. So we've got this little oval with almost like a rectangle, and you could change things later if you want to, you know, give it a different kind of shape. You're gonna put your body in, and then you're gonna do how many legs you think? Yes, 4. Okay, so we're gonna do 1 here, and then 1 really close to it, and then
Mommy,
2 towards the back.
Mommy, that's a crab right there.
Oh, nice job, baby. Okay, and then we can't forget his little tail. Okay, so his little tail is gonna kind of be like mommy's tail. It's just gonna hang off like a V. Okay, so now I've got my mommy, I've got my dino, and then if you would like, you can draw where the ground and the sky meet. That's called your horizon line. This one is going right behind his body, right up around here. You can make yours lower or higher, however you want. I'm gonna make mine right towards the bottom a little bit, not in the middle, but down a little bit. Okay, and then this one actually has like a little heart too, right here, but I can do that later. I'll draw out where it's gonna go, but you know. All right, now if you wanna put the eyes on now, you're gonna use circles for the eyes. I'm gonna make mine a little silly, so I'm gonna make like 2 circles right next to each other. Okay, and then I'm gonna do 2 circles in the middle. And then I'm gonna make his little nostrils. That's where he breathes. So I'm gonna make 1 here and 1 here. That's kind of like in the middle of his head. And then his mouth would be kind of down here, so you don't really see it. If you want to put a little eyeball on the little dino, you're only going to see the one side, so I'm only going to give him one eyeball and his little nostril, okay? And if you wanted to give him little teeth later, you can do that. If you wanted to give him a bow tie, if you wanted to put, you know, his little spikes on him, you can do all that, absolutely. But let's pause the video. Let's make sure that your drawing looks great, and then we're gonna start with painting the background and the bottom, okay? The background at the top and the background for the ground. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so it is time to paint my background up at the top and my background down towards the bottom. I'm going to do the top first. I'm going to make sure, if you're using a canvas, that you don't miss out on the edges of your canvas at the top and on the sides. You also want to make sure, if you purchase the kit, there's certain colors that you have a lot more of, okay? If you see that you have a color and you want to use that, you know, like a red for your background, I didn't give you a lot of red. I gave you yellow and probably blue, because those are the colors that I thought, okay, I'll give them the most of, because that would make sense for a background. So just be mindful of, if you did purchase a kit, whatever colors you have the most of is what you should be using, okay? So when you're ready to paint, you're gonna dip into your paint. I would start at the top, and you're just going to go from side to side. You're gonna do the whole thing, not missing out on, again, the sides and the top, okay? If your paint is not spreading out easily, I say this in every video, give them a little dunk of water, a little drink, and then it'll help spread your paint out so it's not getting like stuck, okay? Another thing, when you get down towards the bottom and it's time to switch colors, okay, I'm gonna clean off my brush really, really good. I'm gonna give him a bath, dry him on his paper towel, and then I'm gonna do green towards the bottom, okay? When you switch your colors, just make sure that you really, really wash your brush off really good, okay? And then if you accidentally get it on the dinosaur's body, don't worry about it. We're going to fix all that later, okay? So for now, we're gonna paint the top, and then we're gonna paint the bottom. You're gonna pick 2 different colors for that for now. I'm gonna choose yellow, and then I'm gonna choose green, okay? So this will take a few minutes. Have fun, take your time, and I will see you in a little bit. Okay, so we are done with the background. I know that took a little while because you have to go in between the legs and you had to go up in here. That did take a little while, but I'm sure it looks great. So very nice job. Also, when you're an artist, you have to be patient sometimes, okay? You have to take your time. You've got to, you know, make sure you wash off your brush really good. And if you do all those things, your artwork is going to come out even better, okay? So we're gonna start with you can do it either way. I'm gonna start with the body of mommy and then the body of the baby dino. I'm gonna actually choose like a darker blue for my mommy's body. I'm just not gonna do over the eyes, okay? That's the only part that I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna paint over his eyes because I want them to be white in the background. So I'm just gonna leave that. Also the same thing with baby dinosaur. I mean, if you wanna do them the same color, you can, but I would, you know, I'm going to choose to do mine in 2 different colors. So I'm going to pick like a purplish color, like a pink for the dino, and then I'm going to do a color for the mommy, okay? If you want to put spots on your dinosaur or any kind of spikes or anything, you can do that also. I'm going to leave mine plain, but I will let, you know, if you want to do something like that, please, obviously you can add whenever you want. You could even add a little, like a unicorn horn and like, you know, just to be silly, okay? If you wanted to do something like that, I'm just giving you silly ideas, okay? So I'm gonna very carefully paint my mommy's body and then the baby body. You can turn your canvas, whether you're working on a flat surface or you're working on with a easel, you could turn it if that helps you, but you should be using a little bit of a smaller brush. So if you are at home working with your own materials, you wanna be using a smaller brush. If you purchase the kit, you have a perfect size brush for this, okay? So I'm gonna start mine and I will see you in a few minutes. Remember to take your time, wash your brush off really good and dry it in between too, because you don't want it going all over the place, okay? Okay, you are finished with your dino, the mommy dino and the baby dino. I'm sure they look amazing, and whatever colors you chose, perfect. It doesn't have to be the same ones that I chose. I'm actually going to dip into a little tiny bit of white, and I'm going to just lighten up the top of the mommy dino just a little bit. Obviously this is, it's suggested. You don't have to do this. I just wanted to make it look like she's a little bit more 3D, okay? And one way to make something look a little bit more 3D is to add in a different value of a color. So this is a little bit of a lighter blue. So I'm going to wash off my brush, got a little blue on it, dry it off really good, dip into a little bit of white again, and then I'm going to, in his little neck, or her little neck, I'm gonna add a little bit of the white too. Now I'm doing this while my blue is wet, and it's just making it look a little bit 3D. Meaning it'll look like it's kind of popping out a little bit. But you have to do this when it is wet. If you purchased a kit from me, you are working with acrylic paint, so it'll work very nicely when you're blending. Cleaned it off again, and now I'm gonna do a little bit down in his legs. Not too much, just enough to kind of give it a little bit of a different shade down there, okay? And then I'll do a little here. A little tiny bit in the tail. Make sure you wash it off, dry it off really well. Tiny bit. That's kind of a lot, but that's all right. It'll mix right in with that blue. Okay, if you want to add a little to the baby dino, make sure you wash off your brush, dry it, and then add a tiny bit of white to him too while he's still wet. Okay? Or her, whatever your little dino is. Okay? All right. Now we're gonna do the eyes. You can do that little heart later, don't worry about that for now. But the eyes, I'm just going to make sure your brush is really clean. A tiny bit of white on the end of your brush, okay? And you're just going to paint that entire area white for now, okay? Trying to stay in the lines as best as you can. The outside of the eyes will be white, and then the inside you can even just use black. I'm cleaning it off again because my brush just got a little yucky. Okay, and now I'm going to do it in the little guy's eyes too. Okay, this we have to wait a few minutes to dry. But while I'm waiting for that to dry, I can do my heart. I can make my little nostrils. If you want to add anything in your background, you can add stuff to your background. Okay, this is the part where it's kind of like, it's up to you what you want to do now. If you wanted to do anything else. I'm just giving you the basics, and then you guys can add whatever. I'm gonna continue to add more to mine, but you don't have to do this. You could leave it like this and sign it when you're done doing the black in the eyes and doing the mouth, or you can continue to put little spots on him, or spikes, I should say. Okay, you guys are the dino experts. You know a lot more about dinosaurs than I do. So if you want to add something, you can. If you want to put something mountains in the background, you can do that too. Or if you just want to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to give it a few minutes, wait for that to dry, and then I'm going to take the tip of my brush and I'm going to do a little mouth. Okay, you're not going to really see much of a mouth on this side right here, and I'm going to do his nostrils. Okay. And then I might do a little bit of outlining in black, my whole thing, okay? Just because I'm known for doing that. I don't know why, but I always feel like it makes everything really pop out. You don't have to do that. You could also choose white to outline, but when you're outlining, you're using just the tip of your brush, okay? All right, so I'm waiting for that to dry. By the time I'm done outlining and by the time I'm done putting in the mouth and the nostrils, I'll be able to just draw my little circle on the inside of the eye. Okay, awesome job with your artwork as usual. I love that some of you added extra things like spikes or a sun, or you added mountains in the background, or you added some kind of pattern to your dinosaurs to make them look, unique in your own style. That's what art is all about, okay? So you don't have to keep it just like mine. Please make sure that you signed your artwork. I always write my last name, whether I hide it somewhere or I just put it right down in the corner. I write my last name and then I write 2020 just so I know when I, made the artwork. If you're giving this to a special lady for Mother's Day, they're going to love it. You did a really wonderful job. Or if you're painting along with your family, or if you're, just keeping it for yourself, I want to thank you. There's quite a few people that have been since week one, purchasing a kit, following along, and I'm excited that I can bring my paintings and my artwork into your family. So thank you again for purchasing and for painting with me every week. Let's see what else. Well, I just hope that you have a really nice day, and all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day. You're all amazing, especially my mom, Marie. We will figure out what we're going to paint next week in a few days, and I hope that you join me again. And in the meantime, keep creating, whether you did it, use your own supplies or use mine. Please share the photos with me on my Facebook page at Little Monsters Art. Okay? Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.